Hey, welcome back to Valuable Physical Education. Today we have a student teacher who is going through student teaching all on Zoom. And so it's really interesting. We have a great conversation about just how to teach PE via Google Classroom, Zoom, and gives a lot of great information. So let's go ahead and get right into the interview. Hey guys, welcome to Valuable Physical Education. We're back with another great guest tonight, and Kevin's going to give us a little bit of an introduction here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure to introduce you guys to Coach Clarissa. Coach Clarissa, when she grew up in Rancho, and she ended up playing at Whittier College for Coach Chris, who we've also interviewed. After Whittier, she went to Cal Poly Pomona, where she is currently in grad school right now, working on her credentials to be a certified physical education teacher. And also she's working on her adapted physical education. So we are grateful to have you on the show, Coach. And also, I think it's fascinating because you're going through your student teaching, which is a very, interesting time and awesome time in your life. So it'll be fun to kind of pick your brain, and you're going through it through Zoom. So can't wait to hear from you. Is there anything you want to add in your bio that we missed?
I'm in my last semester of the grad program, and I'm finishing up my thesis as well. So doing that at the same time as student teaching is also a hard thing to do, but I'm getting through it.
Yeah. Well, it will only prepare you.
Yeah.
And then that's awesome. And then are you getting your master's with it along?
Yeah,
so that's amazing. That's
yeah.
going to help you a lot, and you're going to like it when you start paying those student loans and you realize you get a little bit more money as a PE teacher because you have your master's. So congratulations to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so we've been going through Zoom a little bit, but we haven't really talked to anybody who's just been totally in the thick of trying to navigate Zoom and I guess learn it on the fly, just like a regular teacher would be. And so how have you been doing Zoom physical education?
So I'm a little comfortable with Zoom because I'm used to it through classes like distance learning within my program. But the school that I'm at, the teacher uses Google Classroom, so that was kind of new to me, and I've never used Google Classroom, Google Slides, so I've been learning and had a couple fails during teaching, but I guess that's part of the job. It's difficult, especially because like my internet will go out or her internet will go out, and it's just kind of the kids just sitting there like waiting for us to come back, and it's difficult, but we're trying, I guess.
And so I think you had said before we got on here that you're working with middle school students. So what types of activities have you had them doing via the Google Meets?
So the PE department at the school that I'm at had decided to keep it fitness based, which to me, it's not a lot of activities. It's kind of like we walk the mile. And I just hopped in 2 weeks. This is my second week of student teaching. So I haven't seen what they did like last semester. But I kind of want to do more, especially with student teaching and like getting through the TPAs. I have to do a lot more than just walking the mile or a little fitness video or something. So I assign the students kind of like an introduce me assignment to kind of tell me like what their interests are, what kind of activities or lessons that they would want to see in PE, because we have them for 80 minutes twice a week and then 40 minutes once a week. So we have each student like 3 times a week, and 80-minute class is kind of a lot. So just trying to figure out something that they would be interested in doing is what I'm trying to do, and incorporating that into my lessons.
Yeah, so all you beginner teachers out there and student teachers, I think one thing that you could take from Coach here is it doesn't matter if you're at elementary, middle school, high school, adapted, general PE. It really doesn't matter if you're doing Zoom or not. The best thing I think you could do is build relationships with your students. And my hat's off to you right off the bat that you're creating that trust. And then when you ask them to do maybe activities they're not comfortable with because they've never done it, you're going to find that they're going to do it and they're going to go to bat for you because you've invested in them and invested in interest. So that's a great job. I'm curious, because you're at the middle school level. I'm at the elementary, so I'm by myself. But do you have a group that you can collaborate with that you could talk about these Google Plus meetings and come up with units and lesson plans? Are there a few PE teachers in your department?
Yeah, so I haven't been to a PE department meeting yet, but they do have one every like couple weeks. But me and my cooperating teacher, we talk a lot, and she's kind of excited because we're bouncing ideas off, and she's kind of letting me take over with the lesson planning because I want to do some like exciting and fun things. So yeah, but I haven't gotten to talk to any other PE teachers in the department.
I mean, I think that's kind of a good lesson too, though, is a lot of times, like Kevin said, we're either on our own or we maybe have one other person to bounce ideas off of. So, that'll be great when you get the chance to get into a real meeting with a bunch of people. We use Google Classrooms at my school, and there are so many different options in there of resources that it is a little overwhelming at first. You're trying to learn it. Have you used, or it sounds like you're only a couple weeks in, or are you planning on using any of the Google Forms or having them do any actual documents? Because I think the one thing to me that was nice about using this platform is that I've always wanted to try and have a little bit more of kind of the classroom side of PE mixed in. And this kind of allowed for that. It kind of almost forced it and didn't get as much pushback, especially for middle schoolers. They love to get outside and move around, which I don't blame them. But how do you plan on using those things, and have you used any of them yet?
So I've only assigned 2 different assignments, and I've used Google Slides, so they just kind of fill in the slides that I had. But I know my cooperating teacher has used the Google Forms. I haven't looked into that more or really at all, but I've used like Kahoot. I've used a couple of different like apps, and I know she uses Flipgrid a lot. I think, yeah, it's Flipgrid.
Yeah, that's fun.
So I'm definitely pushing me to think outside of the box and look at more apps. And I'm not very tech savvy, so it's definitely pushing me to venture out. So I like that, and it's a challenge. So
Yeah, there's so many options out there. And
mhm.
the one thing I would say, I don't know how you're ending up grading, but I know it's something in PE we always are going back and forth. How do we grade these kids, especially when we're doing activity? But the forms are great because they'll formulate a grade back for you if you're doing multiple choice or true false. So it's kind of a nice it's a nice, quick, easy way to get some points in the grade book and test and see if they're listening to you through the computer.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
I'm curious, obviously you're in a great program at Cal Poly Pomona with some great professors. I'm curious how they're stepping you through this Zoom process and
Mhm.
um, if they're giving you any advice or any tips, because most people, when they do their student teaching, you're out in the playing field, you're out with a class, and to be frank, it's completely different than what you're doing. And so
Mhm.
when you signed up, I'm sure it's already a daunting task to do student teaching, because trying something new for the first time is always hard. You're not only trying something new, you're trying something that really no one's ever done. And so
Mhm.
what support are you getting from your professors, and what resources do you have that they're teaching you to help you get through this?
Um, Honestly, I don't they haven't helped us a lot with the Zoom part. They're all just kind of like, "We'll go back to normal. We'll go back to normal." So, like, don't really think much of this type of thing. So, there's no, help. I mean, they feel for us, and they are helping be, like, supportive on, like, the stress side of distance learning, but they haven't really helped with, like, how to navigate distance learning, and so that is kind of a bummer, so we're kind of fending for ourselves. That's what I feel like, but,
And
yeah.
and probably, to be honest, it's because there's not a lot of research behind this, and they have this whole curriculum set up to teach you that they've been teaching
Mhm.
when we went through student teaching 10 years ago. Now you're doing it. So I completely understand. But I actually think, and I mean, it'd be good to get your thoughts on this. I think if you can get through this, get a good grade, learn, build relationships, and run a PE unit, I almost think you're more hireable, when you go
Mhm.
out there. Because when I'm a principal and I'm like, wait, you did your student teaching during Zoom and you got really good grades and you still have great references. To me, that's something to say. So, I mean, I hope you and your classmates have that attitude, because I actually think there could be something really positive out of it.
Definitely, and I know my cooperating teacher, she's talked about how, PE might even change, like, people might figure out that we can just do distance learning, so it is like it's like a little notch on my belt, that I have gone through this, and if it stays like this longer or if it comes up again, I kind of already know how to navigate and teach PE virtually, so I guess that's pretty cool. Um, but I mean, I hope we don't stay virtual forever.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if we do, I have that down.
Yeah. As you said, you have two classes, 80 minutes a week, and then a 40-minute a week class. Are you on those meets live for the whole amount of time? And um, are those, do you have all the students? It's not a, is it a live stream, or is it like actual meet where you can talk with the kids?
So it's an actual like live, so where we talk and
Okay.
um so Mondays is the 40 minutes and then it's split up between like three periods and three periods the rest of the week
Okay.
for 80 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a long period to be trying to fill on the computer. I even feel for regular classroom teachers who are trying to fill an hour on the computer, just because it's so different to tell kids like, okay, you have
Mhm.
15 minutes to work on an assignment, and you're not actually there able to talk with them. So, um, yeah, I agree with Kevin. I think if you can make it through that long of a class, trying to do it virtually and try and keep kids engaged, it's going to feel easy to go through a 45-minute class out on the blacktop.
Mhm.
It'll obviously be different. Kids interacting with each other. There's different challenges, but I mean, that is definitely a good thing.
That's one thing that my cooperating teacher has talked about is she's looked at more the like socio emotional aspect. So like the kids aren't really getting that social interaction. So we kind of allow them to go into breakout rooms and like talk to their friends or talk to their peers. Like we have a lot of like group discussion in the breakout rooms, which I think is good for them because they're just, at home. They're not around other people except for their family and they're not with their friends. So I think that's pretty cool that she incorporates that into her lessons as well.
Yeah, I love hearing that, because I know, like, I've seen some of Kevin's lessons, and he's actually, and I've seen my boys do online PE, and elementary level, they're actually interacting some with the teacher, and he's calling out their names. But I know at my school, they've been doing basically live streams with 100 students on there, and we're not even doing PE really. And so they're not interacting really at all. They're just following along with the teacher. And then,
Mhm.
they have something else where they can ask questions, but they're not actually getting that time, that social emotional kind of time like you're talking about. And, it's tough. I think a lot of them are really being affected by that. So yeah, I mean, kudos to that. And I would definitely keep that up. I mean, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think the breakout rooms are huge because, one thing about PE is at the elementary level, I didn't even think at the middle school level. When I was a middle school PE teacher, we do a lot of units where there's station work. And it's like, all right, they're
Mhm.
going to be dribbling over here. They're going to be doing bounce passing. They're going to do just chest pass, and they're going to do free throws. And naturally, you put them in their own classroom, or their breakout rooms, but it's out on the field,
Mhm.
and it's okay because you're there by yourself and you can watch all of it. But I think what's huge advantage for your students and a huge advantage for your classroom teacher that you're working with, she can give you like, hey, let's work with these six and you go crush this, and whatever it is. And
Mhm.
I think that's a huge advantage because
Yeah.
I think a lot of PE teachers right now, while they're doing Zoom, they're only by themselves and they can't do breakout
Yeah.
rooms. They can't leave students by themselves. So,
All
I'm
right.
curious because I
Today, there was some great information shared. It's a weird, trying time. We kind of take for granted the fact if you're already a teacher and you're jumping into this that, you've had some experience, you can try and draw on that a little bit. But when you're brand new at this, and this is what you're getting thrown into after being taught for a few years, that it was going to be one way, and now you're trying to go at it a completely different way. And now you're trying to learn from teachers too who are still new at it. It's a very different experience. So this is a great interview. I would encourage teachers to continue to listen to this tomorrow, and then the following day, and keep looking at what we're talking about, how to use these things, some of the innovations that they've come up with in order to make physical education viable through Zoom, and try and keep kids engaged. So thank you guys for tuning in today, and we look forward to bringing you more with Coach Clarissa.
I want to thank our sponsor, One Stone Apparel. They do great physical education clothes. Made us this great polo for valuable coaching, and they do awesome vocabulary tees, perfect for physical education. They got great words on the back. You can customize them. Great artwork, easy to work with. Dave at One Stone Apparel. Check them out, onestoneapparel.com.